Dear friends, welcome to my video. In this video, I'll show you how to connect to the Oracle database using JDBC driver from your Android app using the Android Studio. So let's begin. First and foremost, I'll show you how you can set up the Oracle database on your machine. So go to this path. I'll post this link and all the details from my website as well. And then for the setup or the installation, scroll down. This tutorial is for Windows machine, so I'll use this Windows and download this zip file on your local machine. Once you've downloaded, unzip the files. You'll get all these files. Scroll down and run the setup.exe, and then the standard setup process will run where you just do next, and all the details. I'll post the steps also on my website. So once the setup is done, few things you should notice. You should go to the setup path in the wherever you have done the setup and go inside this particular path. I'll post this path also on my website. And then inside this, there are two files which are important. One is sqlnet.oda and tnsnames.oda. Open these two files in Notepad++ or whatever editor you want, and just check. So this will be your service name, and this will be your local database details over here. And in this sqlnet.oda, also just check and make sure that this line you have added over there if it's not added by default. We'll get to know why we need this line, because we will be using something called JDBC driver 14, and we'll need this to run that particular driver. We can also check over here. This should be our host name, the local machine or the machine on which the installation is done. You can also check by just going to your command prompt and typing the host name. So this can be the host name, the machine name, or also the or either the IP. So you can just type IP config, and the IP you'll get over here. This whatever this is, but I think the host name should be fine. So once the database is installed, you can quickly check it by going to your command prompt and typing SQL plus command and using the user whatever. I think I have configured this user ctxsys as a password and localhost, and this will be the service name, which is xe over here. And I will not get into the details of the database, but I assume that you know the basic functionality and all those things. So once you have the SQL plus and this command working connected to whatever the database you have created, that means your database is running up and fine, perfectly fine. Now we can get into the Android Studio environment. Otherwise, just make sure that this particular command works, or you are able to get a login connected to the database using the SQL plus command. So now let's get into the SQL. No, let's get into Android Studio environment. So in Android Studio, we'll create a new app. We can name this app anything. Oracle Database Connection app. This name doesn't matter, of course. And rest of things I'll leave as it is. I click finish. I'll wait for my environment to load. Once my environment loads, the first and foremost thing what I'll do is I'll go to the Android administration file, and over here just make sure you allow the internet privilege or permission to your app. Although it may not be required, but it's always good because you will be interacting over the network, so it's always good to have this permission. Other thing is we'll be requiring certain libraries, the JDBC, sorry about that. So JDBC libraries which we will be implementing in Gradle file. So either you can use the directly from Maven repository, or you can bring the jar file. So I'll show you how to do using the jar approach. So change to the project structure, and over here go to the libs folder, and I have already downloaded a jar file. I'll give this jar file also on my I'll just copy this. I'll put this jar file on my website. Come back, right click, paste, and it will ask you the name. Just keep it as it is, and this will get copied here. But please note, this will just get copied. You have to add it as a library, and over here it will ask which particular module to add it, and select the particular app which you are developing. Click OK, and you will see one line should get added in your Gradle file. That's why I got it open here. Line number 35 should get opened and should get added, and the Gradle should get synced. You have to wait unless the Gradle gets synced. So once this is done, then I think our environment is good to go, and we can go to the layout first. I think we'll use this text view what we get by default to print our output probably. And what we can do is we can probably bring it a little down, give it some kind of ID, probably text view. This ID you can choose anything. We'll add one button also, connect to Oracle DB, and we will use this button as our trigger point to connect to the database. Once we have it, we'll go back to our Java code, and first and foremost what I will do is I will just public void, and I'll create a method called button connect to Oracle DB. You can name this button anything as, yeah. And I'll come back to my XML, the layout file, and associate this particular button using the onClick attribute to the particular method which we have just now defined. Now there are few class variables which we'll need to define. First and foremost will be private text view. So this is the text view, and this will be the variable which will associate with the text view. Find view by id r.id dot the widget in our layout. So yes, so this particular variable gets associated with the text view widget which is there in our layout using this particular id over here. I kept the name same, but you can keep it different also. No, that's not a problem. You have to just make sure that line number 18 is added in your code. Apart from this, we will create few more class variable which could be a static final, because we are not going to change those variables. And one of the thing will be driver, the Oracle driver which we'll be using, and the name will be Oracle dot JDBC dot driver dot Oracle driver. Perfect. Make sure you type the name correctly, otherwise it will give an error. You can also verify by going into this jar file over here, and over here you'll see driver, and you should see some Oracle driver somewhere down if you scroll down. I'm not sure why it's not moving. Yeah, it's moved more. And yeah, so this is the driver which we are putting it over here. So you can but I think you have to type it or just copy paste the code from my portal. That could be also one approach. Okay, now we have to type we have to give the particular uh, like the path of the of our server. So that could also be a static final string, and this could be the URL. Okay, and this will be, of course, first we'll use the JDBC and then Oracle at the rate of, and over here you have to give the URL, the IP address. So we'll go back to our this one, and our IP address is this. So make sure you use the static IP or the IP which can be resolved over the internet. I'm doing everything on my local, and that's why yeah, it's over here. And 1521 is the default port number, and XE is the service name. So this service name, as I showed, you can fetch it from the TNS names.ora. So this will be the name, or rather you say this is the name you have to give. Okay, whatever the name you type over there, that's the name you have to give over here. Apart from this, we have to give what, the user ID, the final string user, no, I should have user name, and the username will be I think we use in our SQL Plus while logging in. So this will be the username, which is nothing but ctxsys. So make sure what is your username and password correct, and try to log in before coming into the Android environment. Password, and password will be also the same in my case. Yeah. Okay, so these are the variables which we will be needing during our coding. One more thing I like to do in my own create is I like to define my own strict mode policy. So that's basically dot thread policy and thread policy. No, I don't know that there's some spelling mistake. Yeah, and new strict mode thread policy builder dot permit. So this is because we will be accessing it over the internet, over the network, and it's always good idea to access anything over network in a separate thread. But I'm not planning to make it complicated here, so I will do everything on my main thread, and that's why I will have to, you can say, a kind of surpass the thread policy, the default which is given by Android OS, and then I will just set this strict mode dot set thread policy, and the thread policy just now we defined. That's it. So add these two lines if you are I mean, these lines I'm adding because I'm doing everything on the main thread. If you are doing it in a separate thread, you don't have to add these lines. So the advanced developers will know about these lines of the code. Anyway, I'll proceed now. The main part of the code, which is pretty simple, but before that I'll just make sure that I have some kind of try catch and exception being caught here. And what I can do is I can text view set text. In case of exception, I'll print it on my text view, the widget which we have introduced. Otherwise we'll use this text view to print our output also. So let's see. So first and foremost, what we'll do is class dot for name, and we'll use the driver what we have just now defined in our class variable. We'll move further. Okay, we should have some class variable called connection as well, so we'll define as no connection. Okay, and we will be using this particular connection, so we can do one thing, this dot connection, and we will be, no, this line is important, this line of the code is important because we will be connecting to the database. So what we can do is we can call driver manager dot get connection, and here we will be using this one, the third signature. The first input is URL, so I think we already have URL. Then the second one is username, which we have it, and the third one is password, which we also have it. So once we have it, most likely, let's assume our connection is successful. If it's error, I'm pretty sure it will go to the catch part and it will throw whatever it should throw over there. So we will also toast the make text. Context is of course this, and we can put any string over here. I guess the second, okay, a bit confusing over here. Second is the string or the sequence of the character sequence. So what we'll do is we'll just put probably connected. We'll just print connected, and after this, what else? We can put the length of the duration. So dot length, long or short. I'll prefer long because it will be visible for some time, some while before we move ahead. And what else we'll do is we'll just run a particular query quickly to show whether its connection is successful, and if it's successful, okay, then we'll query something from here. So we'll do something is a statement connection dot create a statement, and then we'll also create something called as string buffer, string buffer, new string buffer. Perfect. We'll be using this string buffer to store our output one by one. We'll see shortly. And then we'll also have result sets. So result sets will be nothing but in the statement we'll run the query. Execute query, and we can query something very simple. We'll go select a star from probably category, it's a category. So yeah, and we'll see what we get it, and then we'll run the result sets. Probably what we can do now, we can run this and see what is the output which we get. So we already have the SQL plus environment running, so we'll see what is the output which we get. Okay, so there are 142 rows, and there are lots of 1 2 3 2 attributes, table name and table type. Probably what I'll do is I'll modify this query a little bit. We'll just print table name. Why not to have a clean output? So table name is what we get. So yeah, sounds good. I think I'll use this query in my app code as well. Okay, control. I'll go back here. I'm not sure what is happening. I do control V. So this is what we will be using, and we will keep running result sets unless it's null. And so next, and what we'll do is we will print this one by one in this string buffer, whatever the output which we get. So what we'll do is we'll use this string buffer dot append, and here we'll append our result set dot get string, and then the output could be, I think this will be 0. I'm not sure, I will have to check, but yeah, one by one you can try out. And also most likely what we'll do is we'll just give a backslash n so that it always goes to the new line, and like each output is only on one line. That's all. So once we have it, then we can go out of this while loop, assuming that all those 149 rows has been printed in this string buffer, and then we can print that in set text. And then what we can do is we can just use this string buffer to string, and then we can close our connection. Perfect. So that's all. I think we can run our app now, or run our code now, and let's wait for the code or app to run. In the meantime, I'll just close a little bit here and there. Yeah, sounds good. So I'll wait for my app to come up. Yeah, perfect. My code is or my app has come up, and everything looks good. So let's press this button and see what happens. Okay, so there's some error. I can see it's very small. I'll do also one thing. I'll just increase the size of the font in this. So I'll just go quickly here and increase the size of font from 14 to probably 20, so that it's visible on the screen also very clearly. I'll come back here. I'll rerun the code just to see what is going. So there is some error. It says let it come up. SQL exception, invalid Oracle URL specified. So I think URL is something which we have used over here, line number 21, which we are using over here in the connection. So there's something problem with the URL. If I closely look, everything looks good. JDBC Oracle thin. Okay, so I think I got it. So there's a colon missing out over here. So we have to give the colon. Let's see if we rerun what it gives, whether the error goes away or whether the error is still there. There's some other error. No, there's some other exception. So okay, please note these exceptions are being printed because of this particular line number 53. So that's why it's important when you are doing the coding for the first time. It's important to print or using the debugger as much as possible. So it says invalid column index. So I know this was because of 0. I was not sure whether the index starts from 0 or 1. That's why I was getting a bit confused. Anyway, now let's see what happens. Perfect. I think yeah, all the table names are coming. Although okay, I can do one more thing. Some of the table names, since it's a little wide, so they are spilling over in the next line. So I can just make it a little broad. Of course, it's not a scrollable. I'm just using the simple text view, not the scrollable one. But I think that should be fine. So I think more or less code is working fine. This is the simple code which you have to do, and that's all. Perfect. So code is working. You can scroll, and if I go to my SQL plus command which we have run, so I'm pretty sure this 142 rows are trying to get printed, and if I scroll up here, this and that name should match. So I think this is the query which we are using. Select table name from cat, and these are the things which is printing over here. All the table names one by one is printing. You can use any other query as well. So that's not important. I just wanted to show you how easy it is to connect. And also I think when you press, this should be a connected there should be a toast also, which I don't see is coming. I'm not sure why this line of 41. Okay. I think I did a classical mistake here. I should have done show over here. They don't need to show, right? It's just making a toast doesn't works. Perfect. So this is the connected what I was looking for. and this, since we have put it for long, it will show for long. So this was a line which was missing the show part. Anyway, more or less it works fine. So that's all I wanted to show you. Just to summarize, I'll put everything on my portal so you can fetch it over there. So to use this particular jar file, and yeah, that's all. You just implement or include this jar file in your environment and then do this coding. It's just few lines of code and your Oracle database connection will work fine. I hope this video is useful to you. If you have any questions or suggestions, then please put in the comment section. And if you like this video, then please subscribe to my channel. Thank you. And